occasion is Mr. Herb Iyer here. Mr. Herb, you come to the microphone if you don't mind. If you would all stand with me with Mr. Herb Iyer. With Tri-Cooperative Lutheran Churches, we'll give our invocation. Thank you, Mr. Iyer.
So it's a privilege to be here with the officials that govern our county and serve it well. Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we thank you for being with us as you have promised in this journey, and as we have faced the difficulties of the recent pandemic. We are grateful for those whom you have chosen to serve as leaders of our communities, county, state, and nation. And so we ask your continued blessing, provide guidance as you give wisdom to our county judge and the commissioners in their service to and protection of our citizens. We are grateful for the help we enjoy, for the healing and renewal you give to those who have been ill, for sufficient grace to all who struggle, and for those who have lost loved ones. Thank you for your continued protection and care. Thank you, O God, for teachers, administrators, and parents who continue to provide for the education of our students, for truckers, grocers, farmers, ranchers, and food pantries, providing food necessary to sustain our lives, for physicians, nurses, and other medical personnel, hospitals, and clinics who give compassionate care and bring healing, and for the church and other religious communities and its leaders providing for the emotional and spiritual support of our people in these troubling days. In your mercy and love, we ask for restoration of our nation, to bring spiritual and physical health, bring work and prosperity with the safe opening of businesses. And we pray that all our leaders and citizens would set aside any past animosity and strife and instead work together for the common good. Help us all to love one another, encourage one another, pray for one another, forgive one another, and importantly, put up with one another. All these things and more we ask in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Amen.
Stay well and do good.
Thank you very much, Pastor. This time we'll now call on Mr. Commissioner Frankie Bates to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome everybody here, and those of you joining us remotely. This is, I think, our third broadcast, and we're trying to improve on that broadcast as we go forward. We realize, and we hope everyone realizes, we are not professionals when it comes to broadcasting. We did not have the necessary technology and equipment, but we're working on it every day. The microphones you see here, we found some, I think Megan found 2 more microphones that were in a closet somewhere from days past, and better than what we had before. So we'll leave it at that. With that, I do know we have some speakers today that want to speak. We have some rules changes or some things we wanted to address before we get forward, but we will do this in our action agenda. So line item 1, discuss Commissioners Court rules as it relates to broadcasting live. We want to remind everyone that we are broadcasting live. It's important for those people that are tuning in from home or from their offices to hear from the people speaking in the courtroom. So we're going to ask if you're going to address the court on this date or any date in this courtroom, that you're going to come to this podium and speak into the microphone so that your voice is clearly heard on that broadcast. 2, we want to remind everyone this is not a press conference per se. So we want to make sure we have order in the courtroom. If you are speaking in the court, we want to make sure that we have your name on record and that the county clerk's office has you on record as well. And then you must, if you're going to speak in public, you have to have signed our public participation form, giving us the opportunity to know what you want to speak about, who you represent, and you have to have your name and address and a signature on there as well. And that is part of court record. Lastly, I do understand that we have issues that we're facing as far as COVID-19. And so this court has been relaxed in some regards in that manner to allow questions and answers as it relates to COVID-19 because we're all learning about this together. So this has been ongoing since February or March 13th for us, and we're learning every day as we go by. I mean, every single day we are learning something about it. So the court will relax some of these issues with it as respect to COVID-19 and having some questions and answers. But this is not a press conference. This is a court of business. The business of the county is conducted here. So we want to point that out. So that's all I had to do is discuss that with the Commissioners Court. I don't need a vote, I don't think, at this point of any kind. We are broadcasting from this side of the room today, so it's a little bit different camera angle. And that camera angle is meant so we can get the speaker in the shot as well. So does anyone have, I know we have some people that want to speak today. Did anyone have something to say regarding item number 1? If so, Ms. Day, if you would approach the microphone, please. If you would, state your name and what you have to say to the court, please.
Hello, my name is Marie Day, y'all all know that. And I want to talk about item number 1, which I thought was actually about the courtroom rules, and so I believe that we're talking about item number 2 now, right? Is COVID, is that my paper in front of me?
Well, right now, if you have anything, you had questions on your page that said you wanted to speak up 1, 2, 7, and 20, but this is
So
still
on
number 1.
item number 1, I want to really thank the court for your efforts in actually making this not only live, but also being recorded. And I will get with David or somebody afterwards so that the folks that might not be able to have it show it live, where could they go and view it if they don't have access to Facebook?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will say this as it pertains to item number 1. The broadcast is supposed to be on, if we record a broadcast, which we're doing now and presenting it live, it has to be on online and viewable for 90 days. And that's correct. And so right now we're allowing Facebook to hold that data for us. If Facebook for some reason crashed and could not get that data to us, it's not necessarily our fault. We're doing our best. But as we move forward, if we like this format, we may do something different and maybe go to YouTube format or something we can control, where we can control our data a little bit better. But anyway, thank you for that. Any other questions about item number 1? Okay, we'll move on. Item number 2, discuss and or take action regarding COVID-19 disaster declaration as declared on March 13th, 2020. And I think before we hear from the public, I think we need to hear from Egan Barthels, our emergency management coordinator and our chief technology expert when it comes to broadcasting live. So Egan, if you would state your name.
Yes, sir. Good morning, I'm Egan Barthels, Lavaca County Office of Emergency Management, Emergency Management Coordinator. A couple of 3 things I wanted to address and get everybody as where we were over the past week. As of 5 o'clock yesterday, there were no new cases of COVID-19 in Lavaca County. Currently, Lavaca County has a total of 5 cases, 1 that's active in county, 1 active outside the county, 2 that are recovered, and 1 who passed away. The individual that passed away was our case number 4, and we received word last week that case number 4 had passed away. I'd like to add some clarity to one of the main questions we've been receiving about case number 4, and the questions were, why is this considered a Lavaca County occurrence since the COVID-19, or since the patient contracted COVID-19 in Victoria County, hospitalized in Victoria, and the death happened in Victoria. And that is something that's done through, as far as county assignments, through the Department of State Health Services. They assign patients to their county of residence. This individual, case number 4's permanent residence, was in the city of Hallettsville. There was the same issue as a gentleman who was a Victoria County resident but passed away in Houston, and he was in Houston for other health issues, contracted the virus there, and then also succumbed to COVID-19. But that case was still counted as a Victoria County fatality. As I mentioned earlier, even though the individual was a city of Hallettsville resident that went to a long-term care facility in Victoria and contracted the disease there, moved to Victoria Area Hospital and passed away there. Oftentimes, folks who go to long-term care facilities for rehab and coming back home aren't always admitted to long-term care for permanent residency. So again, therefore, that's why the Victoria the individual that's in Victoria was marked as a Lavaca County case. I'd like to discuss next on the mobile testing that was in the city of Hallettsville on Friday. Lavaca County was chosen as one of 25 areas for mobile testing locations identified by Texas Department of State Health Services. The teams had 11 medical professionals and support staff, as well as 34 soldiers from the Texas National Guard. And they also had the capacity to test at least 150 people per day at each mobile testing team location. I mentioned last Tuesday on our call with local, county, and city municipality officials about TDM looking for sites to bring mobile testing to the area, and asked for those to offer suggestions that in the area that met criteria that we could hold these this COVID drive-through testing there. After the meeting, it was Wednesday evening, I was at home at 6:30, got a call from TDM that the mobile testing was coming to Lavaca County on Friday, and I needed to put something together. And therefore, that evening I called Grand Knight Chuck Pauliska, Hallettsville KC Hall, that we could use their covered drive-through pavilion on the south side like they do for the meal place to go. Since it's also in the city of Hallettsville, I reached out to Hallettsville Police Chief Randy Schlott and Lavaca County Rescue Service to provide assistance as requested locally through TDM. KC Hall met the criteria to host the site, and we had this site set up that morning at 7 o'clock. We ran 8 to 5, and we're completed out there probably about 6:30 that evening as far as tear downs and everything. I'd like to also cover the concern of bringing a testing location like this to Hallettsville. I think to address the fear of holding the event here was that it's possible that this event brought folks from outside the county with symptoms in the test. That not itself being an issue, but the issue would be that these individuals who could have been asymptomatic but positive for COVID could have stopped at a local convenience store to grab a soda water or get groceries or toilet paper or whatever from some of our supermarkets. Even without the testing site in Lavaca County, I know that what I just mentioned was a concern. I just want to remind you all that we're still vulnerable to the same community spread if an asymptomatic person passing through the county happens to stop to do the same. So meaning that you're on 77 going from Waco to Corpus and you happen to stop by one of our grocery stores, you still have the potential to have community spread in the county. I also want to mention out that Hallettsville and Lavaca County was not singled out as a ESHS mobile testing location. Over the weekend, they did testing as well in Cuero and Karn City and Eagle Pass. Today in Region 8, testing is underway in Gonzales and Carrizo Springs. While I don't have the exact number of how many came to take advantage of testing, I'd say we've had approximately 40 folks who took advantage of the free drive-through testing. And with that, I also think that since the COVID mobile testing was started late and we got the announcement out late, that kept our numbers down as well as far as testing. Today, Governor Abbott will make an announcement regarding Texas' response to COVID-19. He'll make his statements at 2:30 this afternoon at the state capitol in Austin. I just want to remind you that our office, the Emergency Management Office, continues to meet and work alongside TDM, the South Texas Regional Advisory Council, Texas Department of State Health Services, our county officials, as well as city officials from Bolton, Shiner, Yoakum, and Hallettsville, Lavaca County Sheriff's Office, LCRS, Lavaca Medical Center, Yoakum Community Hospital, Wagner Clinic, AgriLife, and others about our continuing response efforts for COVID-19 in Lavaca County.
Thank you, Hagan.
Anything, any questions?
Questions from the commissioners to Hagan directly?
The mobile testing, was that by appointment? I'm sorry?
Y'all's microphones are on.
Yes, sir.
The mobile testing that was organized, was it by appointment only? Did I understand that, or was it just walk in?
It was appointment only. There was a website that they could visit, and there was also a 512 number that they could call.
Correct.
And to be eligible for the testing, you had to have some type of COVID-19 symptoms.
Okay, good deal. Thank you very much. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hagan. One of the issues with the testing that came to our town is we did not have a choice in this matter. That's the way I understood about it. They were coming regardless of us accommodating or not. You want to speak to that? And to me, I saw it as more of a trial run or testing of the services that they have to offer.
I would, again, I'm no expert in county government and law, I'm just, flying by the seat of my pants, but I would assume that since we had issued a declaration of disaster for Lavaca County, that had opened this testing up to Lavaca County. But it would be no different if we had a flood like 81 and needed assistance in other square, they would also send in National Guard like we issued a disaster declaration back then, if that makes any sense. So, again,
Specifically, we did not request them to come in to test.
no, they were doing we did not ask for them to, we didn't send out a formal request. They had reached out to our office and said, hey, we're coming to Lavaca County, we need a spot.
And how many people did they test on that day?
Approximately 40.
40?
Yes, sir.
And we don't know the results.
It's my understanding the results were going to be, I think, 48 hours. They had sent the results immediately at 5 o'clock. The results were, or the specimen was taken by airport to San Antonio for testing, and we should know something in 48 hours.
And again, there's some speculation amongst judges in our region that perhaps this testing was done so the governor can open us back up. Maybe that they were doing that just to prove that we can open.
But my gut tells me that if this opens it up and says, hey, we're good, I mean, don't take that officially, but
Right.
it'll help our case if we have our zero positive results or low positive results. That gives us a case to open the county back up.
You could prove it either way, whether it's.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, so, very good. Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you, Aiden, for doing what you do. I mean, Aiden spends most of his days on conference calls with elected officials and government authorities, so no shortage of that during this time. Before we get to some questions and comments, I do want to make it clear, because I think there's, especially in this age of social media and Facebook, it is not clear what orders are in place and what we have done as a county and what we haven't done as a county. When the governor declared on March, I think it was the 12th or the 13th, whenever he first declared that there was a disaster, then we had our first case pop up in Lavaca County. This was, and basically the governor's office put pressure on us to go ahead and declare, which I think was the right call to make. We had a case here in Lavaca County. We have to deal with it. We have to alert the public that there is an issue in our county, and COVID-19 was here, whether we wanted it or not, and it was here. But with our own orders that we proclaimed on March the 13th, it's basically just that. It was just a disaster declaration saying, hey, Houston, Lavaca County, we have a problem, and COVID-19 is here. We need to wake up and deal with it. We didn't do anything further than that at that point. So it's an attention-getting thing just to get the public's notice. It's also a way for us to get resources from the state and federal government if we needed more resources. So that's why we declared when we did, and that's why that disaster declaration is in effect. That said, we did not shut down any of the businesses directly as far as the county goes. We are a subdivision of the state of Texas and the governor's orders. And so we must follow those orders. And that's the consequence of government. So hopefully the state will start relaxing some of those orders. But that's all I have to say about that. We have any more comments or questions? Anything? Do we have, so basically this declaration that we made on March the 13th, we've been extending it. It does expire today, and we have to either move to extend it for some duration or not. And do we have any comments or questions to that, or a motion? Well, we want to hear from some of these people that want to speak.
If anyone wants to speak, then.
Let them speak. Okay, so we have some people that wanted to speak on the COVID-19 disaster, and I'm going to pick it random. I'm going to go back with Ms. Marie Day because she was the first one on the deal. Marie, do you have anything you want to say? And again, state your name and again, we're going to limit these to, you get 5 minutes basically to speak or less.
Oh, this won't take long, not at all.
Okay.
I have a friend who downloaded.
State your name.
My name is Marie Day. I have a friend who downloaded a spreadsheet of the demographics from the Texas Department of Health and Human Services. And so far, out of 30 million people that live in Texas, we have about 648 deaths. That's 0.001% 0.00216%. And 80% of those folks are over age 60. So yeah, I mean, our demographics are that we have a lot of people that are over 65. Me, almost too. So we have 0 deaths under the age of 20. And 171 counties in Texas have reported 0 deaths. And that's good, because we have 254 counties in Texas. The counties with the highest per capita deaths is our neighbor in Bexar County, Dallas County, Denton, Fort Bend, Galveston, Harris, Lubbock, Tarrant, Travis. What I would like to urge the court as you make your motion to take action on this item today is, we're a rural county. And I know that your declaration did not force anybody to shut down. I am hoping today, what I hear out of y'all's mouths, is that y'all are encouraging our small businesses to open back up. So, because if you don't, we are all seeing everywhere in the news the financial impact it can cause us. And by the way, you guys collect taxes from us. So, I just wanted to urge the court to take action on that and recognize that Governor Abbott did a declaration for all the counties and it was the same. And I'm hoping that the court will recognize that as we as a rural county, and we are very responsible people, I urge y'all to take action to start opening that.
Thank you very much, Marie. Next, I think we have Mr. Mark Myers. Would you like to say something? I'm just picking this random order here.
How are y'all doing?
Mark, how are you, sir?
Good. My name is Mark Myers, and I know y'all are going to take some action on this declaration. One of the things that you mentioned is the fact that by declaring a disaster, the state comes in on their own. In other words, you kind of lose, I'm wondering, do we lose some control of our county because of that? In other words, can it just send National Guard troops in without any say-so with our officials, our representatives? And if that is the case, then at this point, I would have to say that I'd be against re-declaring that disaster in this area. I think the media, and I believe our government officials, have done an excellent job of disseminating the information about this virus. And I believe because of public media and the television and radio and everything that we're listening to, you'd almost have to live under a rock to not know what's going on. And I think that people will take the necessary precautions here. We are in a small community here. And I think, I heard a saying one time, that small town, good news travels fast. Bad news travels faster. So that being said, I would just, my 2 cents worth is, I would say I'd be against declaring a declaration of disaster.
Against the continuance of the declaration that we have in place. Okay.
That's just my own opinion.
All right. We appreciate it. Thank you, Mark. Next, I think we have Ms. Leininger. Want to say something? And then Cheryl Draper, you'll be next.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Leininger, and I had a comment and then a question for you, because I thought about it, and
Sure.
It's with great concern about what's occurring that I requested reconsideration and a motion to remove the Commissioner Court's COVID edict. It's unconstitutional and immoral to place a penalty on the citizens of Lavaca County, depriving them of their businesses, livelihood, and health. Each of the citizens who voted for you relied on your good judgment and the oaths that you took to the Constitution of the United States and the state of Texas. Never in the history of mankind have healthy citizens been quarantined with the penalty of fine or jail. It is my understanding, and you can correct me please if I'm wrong, that not one of you holds a medical, immunology, economic, or other similar degree. And it appears that what we've done, and I'm being generic, is that we've relied on politicians who also don't have any of those degrees to implement this with the carrot of future unknown and unguaranteed government monies. This disaster declaration has negatively impacted your constituents, their physical, mental, and economic health, and it needs to stop. I am requesting respectfully that a motion by this body to withdraw the March 13th, 2020 COVID-19 disaster declaration of Lavaca County and each subsequent renewal. And I do thank you. I'm wondering, did I understand you correctly, Judge Mudd, when you indicated that with this declaration in place, that you have to request the permission of the state to rescind the disaster declaration?
To rescind the I don't know, we don't have to have the permission, but with this declaration open, it gives us more access to funds or benefits, or.
What funds are we talking about?
Well, for instance, our EMS department is working overtime right now. They're down to 6 personnel, I think is what the last count I saw. So we didn't budget for that, and we may or may not. And that would be definitely a finance department auditor's call to make whether we're going to declare that we need FEMA's help to subsidize those salaries or the extra income.
And I'm questioning.
Sure.
Why could you not make that request minus this disaster declaration with all its penalties and whatnot that are in play?
Well, whether or not, and let me ask you, just to make sure I'm fully aware, whether or not we have a penalty clause in this or not is
Well,
irrelevant.
the whole thing's unconstitutional, but okay.
Well, it's we've just, as your government, we've declared that there is a disaster that everyone needed to be aware of, and it's called COVID-19. So that was our way of broadcasting that message that everyone needs to take precautions regarding this. And I think we've put a lot of trust in the President of the United States, Governor Abbott as well, our leaders, and we put trust in the federal and state government to know what's going on with this issue. I mean, we're, like you said, none of us are doctors or lawyers, or we're just common taxpayers
So
that
we've shut
chose
down
to
the
serve.
economy of Lavaca County for something that we've had 0.00 whatever number of people even impacted, fewer than the flu, and we as United States citizens are 90% of us are pretty daggum intelligent, and we know
Right.
that if somebody tells us that there's this out there and these are the things to look for and these are the things to be precautionate about, we're going to do that. We
Right.
don't need somebody in government to tell us that we need to do that. And I think that we also still have the ability to ask for funds supplementary for any additional expenses
Right.
that might have been incurred minus this declaration. So I'm requesting that it not be renewed and that we don't need it. We need to
I
get our
understand the request.
businesses back and working.
Just,
And I thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time. I understand your request. I understand the frustration that the public has, and I understand also this governing body and this judge this is my first pandemic as well. There was some.
Pandemic means that it's everywhere. And
Understand.
epidemic means that everyone's infected.
Well, I understand too the caution of government to warn the public. And when this was declared on March 13th, we had no idea where it was coming from, but we did not know it was coming from a truck driver to Hallettsville or to the Hallettsville area, Lavaca County area, when it did, and it caused for some concern. And I understand your concerns. We do not want this. This is nothing that anyone in this room.
Basically, at this point, the cure has caused more damage than the actual disease.
I understand.
And let's get us back working.
All right. Thank you for your comments today. We appreciate it. Next up, we have Ms. Cheryl Draper.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good to see your faces. Good to be out of my house. I am Cheryl Thompson Draper, Lavaca County citizen living out in Speaks, and Ed Puska is my county commissioner. I'm chairman of the Lavaca County Republican Party and past president and member of the Republican Women of Yoakum area. I'm very active in providing voter education and advocacy for Lavaca County. First, I want to thank God for his blessings and protections for all of us in the U.S., Texas, and Lavaca County. And as the pastor said earlier, thank you goes out to the first responders, healthcare workers, truckers, food handlers, etc., etc. They're all awesome. Everybody's standing up. They're heroes. Fourth, though, the politicians that have a great burden on their shoulders during this pandemic in all levels of government, no matter which side of the fence they sit on, no matter what they wish to gain out of this, there's always somebody. The stress, the strain, the weight of their decisions, good or bad, is on their shoulders, and the citizens do not forget. With that, I say a personal thank you to our own county judge and commissioners who have traversed their decision-making during this unprecedented time through their responsibilities and duties as caretakers of our county. We do not always agree, but I know your hearts are in the right place. Lavaca County citizens are law-abiding, good neighbors, and patriotic citizens. They have voluntarily complied with orders to care for their families and fellow neighbors. We have all lived, worshiped, played, and worked together for decades. We are not strangers to one another, and certainly not strangers to you, the local officials. And we are now suffering together. The damage that's been done to Texas and Lavaca economy is unacceptable. Our families need to be able to make money and pay their bills. They are hardworking, industrious people by heredity and culture. Living off the government handouts or welfare is not in our nature. I understand why the disaster declarations were made. I was a Port of Houston Authority Commissioner during 9/11. I understand. But it was wrong to vote for the disaster declaration with threats of fines or jail time. It is certainly wrong now when parents are wondering how to pay their rent or mortgage payments, and you want to fine them and put them in jail. The Texas Supreme Court just ruled last week that a disaster declaration does not suspend the Bill of Rights, and I call on now to comply with the Texas and United States Constitution and not extend or renew this declaration. And I pray for my fellow business owners, small businesses, which are the backbone of America. I've taken the following from a small business owner that I think represents what we all need to hear from. And as a former International Business of the Year award winner, the largest woman-owned business in Houston and third largest in Texas, I can empathize and sympathize with the small businesses in Lavaca County and the state of Texas. Many people in the USA have absolutely no understanding of the frustration and angst that many employed and small business owners are experiencing right now. And when they say to us, "Is your livelihood more important than a human life?" it really demonstrates just how clueless they are and how they think what we feel and the many challenges we have overcome to get to where we are. They think we are worried about lining our pockets and want more money. It is absurd and insulting for any of them to think that because we want to save our businesses that we won't care about the sick, have no empathy, or that we are not concerned about those who are vulnerable to the virus, or that we are simply selfish and self-centered. They don't understand. And the simple truth is they can't understand. They will never understand. They have not walked in our shoes. They do not know the sacrifices we have made. They have no idea how much we have cried, pinched, and prayed, wondering if we will make it, or the risks that we've taken. How we work 24/7, and it never shuts off. Years of sleepless nights, stress, and worry. They were not there when we celebrated the first year we broke even, not making a profit, just broke even, saw the potential of our dream, and that dream employed others and met other needs. They don't know the weight of the responsibility business owners feel for their employees. No, they collect a check and get to turn off the lights and go home at night, not worrying about how to make payroll, rent, or insurance. They may be working, or they may be at home enjoying the time off, feeling inconvenienced. But is their life decimated? I think not. Is the average worker, the average citizen scared? Just because someone else lives in fear doesn't mean we all should. It's a freedom and choice that we should have. But when we are told that we can do or can't do, well, that's permission, and that's called tyranny. So please, they need to stop judging us and stop trying to shame us. They should stop pretending that they get it and understand, because they don't. They expect that our lives should come to a screeching halt while they sit in their office or home from work and experience a bit of inconvenience. Meanwhile, their paycheck is being direct deposited into their bank account while government destroys what we have spent our entire lives to build. We still have bills to pay, food to put on the tables, and financial responsibilities that do not halt because we are told to shut our doors. We are angry, we are frustrated. It's not because we can't go buy seeds to plant tomatoes or go buy sports equipment. Instead, we must literally sit by with hands tied by a government that says we can't save what we've worked our entire lives for. We're watching more lives ruined long-term and far beyond when we get to go back to our work. We want to save our businesses and be able to salvage what is left and pray to God we will be able to provide for our families, because there is no one else, no boss, writing a check for us. She goes on and on. I just want to say, for those business owners and self-employed, we applaud you. We understand. We are praying that you find a way to make ends meet, because we know that you aren't home collecting a paycheck. Stand strong. We'll get through this. You are some of the strongest people I know. Our faith carries us in a time of great uncertainty and anguish, and we continue to walk in faith. Open up America, open up Texas, open up Lavaca County. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Trevor. And as I said earlier on discussion of line item 1, COVID gives us a unique environment where we want input from the public. So does anyone else wish to speak on COVID-19? Have something to address with the court? No other comments or questions? Megan, from you either? She's like, I hear nothing with my headphones on. Commissioners, I'll leave it up to you. Do we have anything that we want to add?
I just have a question. What is the 48 hours?
I would anticipate that they would put the end of the day. I don't know, and that'd be to have to call, I'd have to make to Region 8 to find more on that. But as of this time, I don't know.
Okay. Questions?
When is Governor Abbott gonna speak up?
2:30.
2:30.
2:30 today?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask the auditor regarding with revenues, or with having a declaration open to receive any proceeds. Your understanding of that would be?
My understanding is that the declaration has to be extended if we want to apply for any type of funding from FEMA, from the state of Texas. There's numerous loans, grants that we can apply for. I know last week you and I both listened to the conference via telephone with the governor, and I went on, and there are numerous grants. There are numerous grants out there that we can apply for, but I mean, I'm not sure if we're gonna apply for it or not. I mean, I realize at this point that our county is frustrated that we can't open. My opinion is we extend it for one more month. And if in between, like let's say you extend it for today, you vote to extend it, and you find out something further at 2:30 today from Governor Abbott, or sometime before the next meeting, you have a special meeting to expire it. I mean, we just don't know.
I can see Ms. Moniker wants to say something. You're
I
welcome.
would appreciate it.
Sure.
Can you tell me, Shannon, thank you. Can you tell me what documentation you have that indicates that you have to have this declaration in play in order to get those grants?
I don't
like to know what that would mean.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily have documentation. I just know that has verbally been told to
There's
us.
a lot of verbal stuff that's been told.
That's verbally been told by, I know Paula had printed something out prior to the meeting that mentioned it. And it was just an article, though, that came from Governor Abbott.
If you can provide documentation.
And I know Ernie with Texas Division of Emergency Management has also, he verbally stated it when he was here.
Right.
Because we're under a declaration by the government, by the state, right? But that does not necessarily say that, I mean, that is what we're piggybacking off of. We can piggyback off of it without having our declaration in play here.
And we're also going by past history when we had Hurricane Harvey. That is what we were instructed to do, and we had our declaration out there for nearly 2 years after Hurricane Harvey.
You didn't shut any businesses down?
Yeah, I know we did not, but that was a different disaster. This
is ridiculous.
And the county did not shut any businesses down. The state of Texas has their own licensing agreements with hairstylists. They have their own, bars and restaurants have to abide by TABC, health department.
Yeah, a lot of the businesses have shut down on their own just because they wanted to shut down. And they can open up if they want.
I don't think any businesses want to shut down in Lavaca County.
Yeah, the Flamingo Froyo across the street, she shut down for a week or two, and I believe she's up and running again.
Good. But a lot of the businesses are running scared because of the penalty phases shown in the declaration, and they don't want to open up and have any kind of negative economic repercussions. And again, that's why I asked that we not renew this.
I'll ask you this question too, Ms. Langer. I know, and that one declaration, the one, be it also proclaimed that a violation of this disaster declaration may be punishable by fine or confinement to jail. I realize that's created a lot of contention. If we struck that right now, we still fall into the state's, ruling that we could have violations of this. Not that we're enforcing Lavaca County. There's two things we got to do.
But the thing is, when you have something that is, it's written out and declares that there is a penalty associated with it, whether you may or may not, that then gives the empowerment to whatever government agency at their whim can determine, yes, we will, or no, we won't enforce it, because there's nothing that the citizen has the right to challenge it on, because it is now in the hands of the government agency to say, we may, so we're going to. We may or we may not.
Right, I understand that. And this is not written in a legal term as far as specifics.
Sure. Well, may is a pretty daggone legal term.
Well, it's, our law enforcement have tools. They have guns, they have tasers, they have handcuffs. We give those the tools of the trade to do their job. We also give them the tool of writing a citation if there was some violation that fit a state statute. And that's where they would work directly with.
This is not a state statute that we're following. It's simply an edict, a declaration. Our Constitution is set up so that the laws in place are brought by the legislative branch.
Correct.
Not by the executive branch, not by, so.
We didn't change law by writing that statement there. We just say our law enforcement they may follow the law. They may have to cite somebody. And again, when we did this, we had no idea what we were facing. No idea. And
well,
again.
Now it's not near as impactful as.
At this time, it seems to be clearing. Yes. It seems to be getting better.
1, 2, 3.
And I'm not here to argue. I'm trying to defend
just
why counties have done what they've done, why the state has done what they've done.
I'm just simply asking that it be removed.
Just the line item or the whole
shooting match?
The whole shooting match, you say, the whole proclamation.
Because I think that you have the ability to request the funds that you've indicated that the reason that the declaration is in play is so that we can request those funds from the government. Okay, well, the government is, the governor's office is the one who put that original state declaration into play, and you can piggyback off of that one. You don't need a county level one to piggyback off of.
Okay.
Unless there's some law or documentation, which I've not seen from Shayna or anybody
Yeah, and
other than hearsay.
And I'm not aware at this point either, but I do understand what we're hearing from, and again, when we made our proclamation, the governor's office themselves were calling us, wanting to know why we haven't declared yet, because we had a case, and that was March 13th, the Friday night. We stayed up here till this was filed at 6:20 p.m. I think we were up here at probably 7:30 that night. And to make sure that we had an open communication with them to get funds or resources, whether it would be the state coming in to test for free, or whether we get resources. We have got some masks and some other things. So we opened that line of communication. Now, granted, we did not have the disaster I think we thought could be here. And I mean, we all thank the Lord for that. I think this county has done a great job of social distancing and doing the right things.
That's what Lavaca County does.
That's what Lavaca County does. You're absolutely right. So I appreciate your comments, and we will look into the matter whether we can.
I would appreciate it.
And it may not be today. That's the only problem I have is I hate to.
Just don't forget.
We will not forget. Thank you very much, Ms. Monica. Appreciate your comments. So discussion has been made. I think, again, the judge's office has received many phone calls from both sides of the aisle. It's either you think the government is doing too much or you think the government is not doing enough. And that's the only two phone calls we've received. I understand that the people in the court today, government has done too much. And that's definitely on the right.
Say something?
You may say something.
Egan, did you say earlier Lavaca County had 4 cases?
5 total, 5 total, 2 recovered, 1 is out of county in Travis County, and the 5th case is in the same household as the case.
Do we have any active cases in Lavaca County now?
Yes, we have 1.
I think as long as we have an active case, we need to be doing something, not throwing it all away.
Is that an active case out and about? I apologize.
Any other comments from the commissioners?
I am a big advocate of commerce. I believe in people making a living, people working. I received a copy of Texas Oil and Gas Association notice to our Glenn Hager, and a letter back from Mr. Hager in regards to some of the oil and gas leases, that there's 428,000 direct jobs that pay over $16 billion in state and local taxes, state royalties, funding municipalities, schools, universities, roads, and first responders. So what they're doing, and that's March the 30th. Senator Colcourse and Representative Lamont are all wanting us to open up the state. The governor wants us to open up the state. He's being very cautious. I do not want to go against human nature and protecting our own. I am a history buff, and in June 12, 1987, our president then, Ronald Reagan, told President Gorbachev to tear down this wall about freedoms of the East and West Berlin, and finally that wall came down. I would like to have a legacy showing that we, number one, protect our citizens, but number two, protect them in regards to reopening Lavaca County as best as we possibly can. We have not shut anything down.
Exactly, we never close it.
I have on record voted against the disaster declaration and wished that one phase of the penalty phase had been deleted. I am not I am not in favor of continuing the disaster declaration, and that's just my personal opinion. And I think that on this day, we could actually tell the world that Lavaca County, we're going to tear down this wall, get Lavaca County open back up, and if not, everything from road work, repairs, all this information, when our citizens can't get their royalties and it's reduced and money doesn't come to them, and then our very efficient tax collector is going to have cases where there's going to be reduced value. I'm not in the oil and gas business, so if I err as far as my comment, as far as the verbiage is concerned, but I do have friends who are very blessed with having some oil and gas money. But I just think that we want to protect our citizenry, but then again, at what cost? At the cost of thousands and thousands of jobs, of property going down, real estate going down, lawsuits. Everybody is litigious right now. If we do something that could be considered bad, then we could have a lawsuit regarding, say, you shouldn't have opened up this. We mentioned about yoga, that nice lady across the street. We could, if she opened back up and someone got COVID virus, someone could go to an attorney and start having problems there. It's just, I think, I agree with Kathleen in regards to the citizens of Lavaca County are intelligent, we're smart. On this board, I consider us as citizens and taxpayers. We also are taxpayers. And I would like to see, I can make a motion, and I don't know if that's appropriate at this point in time, but I am against the continuation of the disaster relief. I would like to take a stand and stop hurting our citizens in regards to that. That's just my 10 cents.
Okay, so a motion has been made by Precinct 3 to...
I will make that in the form of a motion, and whether it passes or not, I would move that we end the disaster declaration as it's stated and eliminate any penalties or, any disaster declaration that it either expires, which it does today. Am I understanding that it is expiring?
So we have this now on a rolling basis from court session to court session, essentially.
My motion is to allow the disaster declaration to expire on this date. And that's my motion.
All right, do we have a second or any discussion?
Could we have a little bit more discussion on this item first, please?
I think we can, he's put the motion on the table, we can discuss it, there's not a second motion.
Is this gonna confuse people with what's going on? I mean, we're saying that we're lifting up, what we're doing here, and then I don't want.
It could, and one thing, I'm just not to overstep what you're saying, but I do think that, this meeting has been booked 2 weeks ago for 10 a.m. Yeah. We had no idea the governor's going to speak at 2:30 p.m.
Correct.
And, we all have all anticipation that the governor wants to open this back up.
Correct.
I mean, that's what we anticipate. How he's going to do it, we don't know exactly. By May 1st, I think we're open up.
And last Friday, he opened up several businesses or several categories.
And I will say this, just again, I cannot stress enough from the county's perspective, we have not made a ruling on who's essential, who is not essential.
That is correct.
It's not my call to make.
That is correct.
Based on our own declaration.
That is correct.
We've allowed people to do what they feel is the right thing to do. Now, I do understand there's certain industries that are regulated by their state licenses. And they've had to do what they have to do to protect their license.
Correct.
It has nothing to do with the county.
That's correct.
And again, too, you have the state regs, and that's what the businesses are following. So whatever, if we do not cancel it, or if we did, they would still have to go by the state regs, what Governor Abbott in the state says to do. So, hopefully at 2:30, the governor will make some adjustments to open up Texas. And I think that's what his plans are. I mean, I'm not Houdini, don't know what he's talking about. And again, too, I know I said before, we're not trying to punish the people of Lavaca County. And that's no intention, and we're not doing that. By this disaster, we're not hurting them at all, but in my opinion, I feel like that we're trying to protect them from outsiders coming in. If somebody would come in and set up or whatever, we need to have something to protect the people of the county. And that's how I look at it. Sure, I don't think we're over here feel like that we're following Big Brother. We're doing what we have to do to protect the people of our county. I do not want to hurt them. We don't have that intention whatsoever. And I think we're doing the best we can with the tools that we have to work with. Even if we cancel the disaster right now, that declaration, I don't know how actually does that benefit the people of the county at this point with the state that have their regs that the businesses have to follow.
I was just speaking, I want to make sure that we've had commissioners had some time to speak to everyone.
Yeah, I just don't know. I wish we had our meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, no more direction.
Or, something just.
We can call a special meeting if we have to.
Well, and that brings up, there's more than likely, we may have to have a special meeting this week to discuss some other items that are on this agenda. I anticipate we can do that, and that's, so that will give us some time to kick this, I hate to say kick it down the road, but kick it towards hearing from the governor. I mean, I want to say publicly, I support Governor Abbott. We've been on phone calls with him, with judges and mayors, and you can hear it in his voice. This is against his grain of business thought, to do some of these things. I would not want to be in his shoes. I wouldn't want to be in the president's shoes. And right now the judge's shoes are looking pretty tight. But
let me make a sidebar.
Sure.
I will withdraw my motion if the other commissioners decide to table item number 2 until another time.
We have to extend it today. Either extend it or let it go today. Expire, right? It
Well,
expires today.
I'm just reading discuss or take action regarding the COVID disaster as declared on March the 13th.
And we've extended it till today. It expires today. We have to do something, whether it's to let it expire or extend it to hear from the governor.
So if we tabled it, it would expire automatically. Is that correct?
It would expire. The governor's order is still in effect.
That's correct.
So
Yeah,
it doesn't change it. I mean, again, I want to reiterate that when we did this proclamation, this was an attention getter to tell the public there's COVID-19, you need to be aware, and it got people's attention. They're doing the right thing.
Correct.
Once we declared it, we could have gone in and further proclaimed and did some different things.
Absolutely.
We did not.
Absolutely.
And we had some cities in Lavaca County that wanted us to do some ratcheting up in their respective areas. We defiantly said we are not doing that. If you want to do it, in respect to a curfew.
That's correct.
There was a city that had some problems. I think they've worked out their problems, but the county took no stance on that. Basically, we said we know COVID's out here, and that's
You're exactly
alerting the public that COVID is out there.
You're 100% correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. But if we table this, then it's automatically going to expire. Is that what I'm understanding?
It expires today.
Expires today. Okay.
Again, this is a theoretical proclamation.
Correct.
There was no extra in it other than, again, I mean, everyone has their opinions on whether we may fine or whatever, but we had no idea what was coming our way. And regardless, that's a statement if I scratch that statement out today, it's still in effect because the state has laws that our prosecutors and our legal.
Yeah, we will not go against the laws of this
Exactly.
of the state.
But I do think, unfortunately, we booked this appointment for 10 o'clock. It's been on the books. The governor's going to speak at 2:30, and we anticipate some things. So And because we don't know if we let this expire, how does that affect our funding? If we need funding, right now, we've got a whole bunch of overtime to pay in the EMS department. Whether we declare that's a disaster and need reimbursement, I don't know. But as taxpayers, I think if we can get it, we should get it.
Okay.
But I hate to let this expire, and then that ruins our chances for getting some of that funds if we need them. Because again,
my understanding that is you have to have a declaration in order to stay eligible for that funding.
and right now it seems like it's all clear, it seems fine, but we have no idea. This thing spreads so rapidly. If it does come back through here, and we have to assume it has come through here. It has crisscrossed our crossroads.
And if I stand to be corrected, I do understand that EMS and the emergency services are not funded by the county of Lavaca. Is that correct?
They have not been funded, but now they're in the hole right now. That's a whole other issue that we're going to pick up this summer. This was the top of my radar screen before COVID hit.
Okay.
And we're going back to it as soon as COVID's done.
Okay. It is my understanding that there are no taxpayer dollars funding the EMS
As to this date, as of yet.
as of yet. Okay.
But there's some circumstances there that they run into issues, and that's not subject for today's matter, but it is on our radar.
But I just want to make sure that I understood and not speak incorrectly and of that.
That's a whole, we're gonna have a whole day's
That's
discussion.
a whole another.
Guarantee that's coming.
Yes, sir. I agree.
I'll let Ms. Leiner, and then again, this is COVID issue, so we want to have some open discussions, and yes, by all means.
I have a quick one.
Sure.
Three things
Three things.
that would address what the concerns are.
Sure.
You want to reinstate the declaration? Go ahead, take out the penalty part of it, okay? Then add on the fact that if to address Commissioner Puska's concerns, quarantine that one person that has the disease, make sure that they're quarantined. You don't quarantine all the healthy people. And number three, declare every one of the businesses here in Lavaca County as essential businesses.
And we have declared that essentially.
Well, put it on paper. Thank you.
If I may, the
Sure.
individual is isolated in quarantine.
Oh, I figured, but I
Well,
mean,
and,
that ought to cover your concerns.
I assume that.
but there's issues too, okay, and is it a there's some constitutionality, I butchered that, but there's some issues whether if you had COVID-19 tested positive, can the government even make you quarantine? And there's been some people testing that.
I agree with you, but to address the concerns that Commissioner Puska brought forward.
Right.
Just make a statement.
And if you saw the one case, I don't know what newscast it was, but it was someone that was had tested positive for it. He's spitting on officers and trying to spread it. I mean, there's crazy people out there. I mean, sheriff's in the back of the room, he'll tell you there's crazy people. I've seen them
There are,
come through the court
I
system.
don't dispute that, but the thing is, the only people that we have the ability to control are ourselves.
Understand.
And we have to act in a responsible fashion, and tying everybody's hands is not doing that. So if you want to renew it, fine, take out the foolishness about the penalty, and if I'm just encouraging.
That's an opinion. It's not
I'm
foolish.
just encouraging. And then, make a declaration that every single business in the Lavaca County area is an essential business, and that, because they are, and that that you're aware that the one person that we know of with the disease has self-quarantine at home and is not in the public sphere. Thank you.
Again, thank you for your comments. Again, this is what makes our government unique and special, is we get to hear from everybody.
I have one question.
Sure.
Sheriff, have you had any calls or complaints about this declaration that may be punishable by a fine or confinement in jail? Have you had any calls?
Initially, when the governor initially made his declaration and shut down some of the bars and stuff, we had some calls out in the county because it was brand new and people didn't understand. But once people understood that, they couldn't be open and that they needed the social distance, and when we explained it to them, we haven't had any more calls in the county as far as crowds gathering. May have had a couple in the city. Some of the cities have been having issues, but nothing for us out in the county. So, and as a citizen, I have a question. If y'all do not renew this declaration, do the restaurants open? Can I go get a haircut? Or is that state regulated? If y'all don't renew the declaration, is Lavaca County open for business?
That's a good question. And I think we've never closed anything down, so they have their own state guidelines they're falling under.
The state
regulates.
The
state regulates industry.
The state did, right? So, if y'all want to strike the part out that Commissioner Bates wants to take out at the bottom in reference to fines, and continue the declaration. So if we need funding, if we need state help, if we need FEMA, we have them. But just because, the way I understand it, just because y'all do not renew your declaration doesn't mean that we can go to Los Cabos and eat lunch.
Right.
It's my understanding. You can't override
we cannot override the governor.
The governor, they closed the restaurants, they closed the beauty salons, everything else. So I don't know what it would benefit us to let ours expire in case we need some of that funding.
I understand.
But that's just my opinion.
Okay.
As a citizen.
It's welcome. Thank you very much. And thank y'all for what you do out there. Again, this issue has not been taken lightly. I know we're taking a lot on this, but it's important for everybody. So we have to take some time and we have to deliberate as a body and discuss things. That's, again, this county has not closed down any business. We have not declared anyone essential or not essential. If someone has closed their business down, they've done it for other reasons, whether it was socially the right thing to do, or they were abiding by state licenses or rules and guidelines that apply to their industry. So basically, we have no ruling over that. Again, we could strike that. We could strike the last line about the maybe punishable by fine or confinement in jail. It doesn't change the fact that it may be punishable by fine or jail, depending on what that officer sees out in the field. They write citations based on what they see in the field, and then our legal team takes over from there, from the prosecuting staff. So it doesn't change anything. I'm flexible if that would solve some disputes, but I think we do need to consider that the governor has not spoken, and I think we need to be mindful of that. And I do think we need to be mindful that COVID-19 is still around, still exists. So we have all these things coming at us at one time. So again, I'm going to state my opinion before a motion is made, but I think we need to. I'm okay with if someone wants to make a motion to change that line. I'm okay with that. It doesn't change it, but I do think we need to extend this for some duration to until the governor has had time to assess what he needs to assess. And until we figure out the money supply and supplies of what we need, or we may need 2 weeks from now. We don't know. So that's my opinion. But we've had a motion on the table. I'm sorry, Ms. Marie Day, you can come to the microphone, please.
So I know you guys are governed by Robert's Rules of Orders, but if I'm clear, Commissioner Bates has a motion on the table, and so it wasn't clear to me, Mr. Bates, what you said, whether or not you're rescinding your motion. So if we can get clarity on that, you guys do whatever you need to do.
Sure.
Thank you.
He made Precinct 3 had made a motion to let this disaster expire. We went into discussion. We didn't have a second right there at that time. So I'm going to go back. He rescinded that, and I'll go back to entertain a motion or more discussion.
I said I would withdraw if we tabled item number 2. I think my motion is still as far as a point of order. Let me restate my motion.
Please do.
I move that we allow Lavaca County disaster declaration to expire on its normal life as of I'm assuming as of today, at a certain period of time. My motion is to let the disaster declaration expire on its own without us renewing it. That's my motion.
Okay. Precinct 3 made a motion to let this declaration that we made on March 13th expire. Do we have a second? If we don't have a second, that motion dies.
I understand. Thank you.
Do we have any other motions regarding COVID-19 and the declaration we made on March 13th?
I would, if the floor is still open in regards, I do not have a copy of the declaration. May I see it, please? As I've moved previously and with lack of second, I would like to strike the item stating, be it also proclaimed that a violation of this disaster declaration may be punished by a fine or confinement in jail. I would like to move that we strike that, is it 2 lines or sentences, or that phrase in total. That would be my motion, to strike that one aspect.
To strike it and extend this.
Had we been able to do that all along, I could have voted with this commission, but I cannot.
So I understand it right, that you're making a motion to strike that line.
Correct.
And extend this.
That would be another motion.
Okay, another motion. All right.
That would be correct. In other words, I think we should move on striking that, and then I think we, basically on a point of order would be to make a motion to accept their declaration in its amended form with that stricken. So that would have to be 2 motions.
Okay.
In my.
All right. So we have a declaration in place that expires today. Precinct 3 has made a motion to strike the phrase, be it also proclaimed that a violation of this disaster declaration may be punishable by a fine or confinement in jail. Do I have a second?
After hearing from the sheriff, I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right. We have a motion by Precinct 3 to strike that claim, and a second by Precinct 2. Any discussion or vote? If not, nobody's going to take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those, same sign. All right.
Thank you.
We have stricken that from the existing declaration. Now, I will make claim to the court. It does not change law enforcement's perspective on what they have the ability to do under state law.
That is correct.
Okay. So next, with COVID-19 and the declaration that expires today, I will entertain a motion of some sort to extend this or to keep in line with the governor. I know nobody wants to make the motion.
What did you just ask?
Basically, okay, the existing.
You got to go and keep it going.
Okay.
The existing proclamation expires today.
Right.
At some point in time. We've already just voted to strike a clause in there. So that's been stricken out of our existing declaration that expires today.
Yes.
Now, it expires today. We need to either renew this.
I thought we just renewed it.
No, we struck.
Amended it. We struck
that one item.
So we want to renew our declaration.
Yes.
Would you?
I make a motion to renew. Yes, to renew the declaration as presented with the deleted amendment, or that line deleted out of there.
For how long?
2 weeks. Next meeting is when
When is our next meeting?
May 11th.
May 11th?
May 11th.
Can anybody confirm that? Is Paul
Yes.
here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Our next Commissioners Court meeting is May 11th. Or, yes. So,
Yeah.
Precinct 1's made a motion to extend our declaration as amended until May 11th. Do I have a second?
I will second that motion, sir.
All right, Precinct 3 seconds that motion to extend. The current declaration is signed on March 13th and amended today, April 27th, is now on the floor to be extended till May 11th. Or at some other time that we can cancel it, but at least till May 11th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, and thanks everyone for your comments on COVID-19. We do appreciate your comments. All right, moving on. Item number 3, presentation of the Lavaca County Financial Report for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2019 by Wayne Bauer and Company.
Now, Mr. Bauer, we're not in a contest to see which agenda item lasts the longest.
I'll do my best. I am Wayne Meyer, auditor, CPA, from Meyer Company. I believe everybody has a copy of the audit report. Let's just turn over to page 1 and 2 of the audit report. And good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
On page 1 and 2 of the audit report is our opinion letter. Our opinion is what they call unmodified opinion, which means basically that nothing came to our attention that would cause us to qualify it in any manner, and also that we provided all the information we asked to examine. If you look at that on page 1 where it says auditor's responsibility, that second sentence there, it says, we conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America. And what that means is when we perform an audit, we have to follow rules and procedures. They're the same rules and procedures that every auditing firm in the country has to follow. So we're stating here that we did follow those rules and procedures. If you turn over to page 17 and 18 of the 17 of the report, is kind of a bird's eye view of what happened in the county with respect to your funds. There's a schedule there. If you look at the first column, that's your general fund, and that second column is your road and bridge fund. If you go towards the bottom of that first column, where it's 3 lines from the bottom, this is on page 17, where it says net changes in fund balances. You'll see that you had an increase in reserves or net gain in your reserves for the year of $1.546 million last year. So that means that your money is coming in exceeded your money is going up by $1.5 million. You go down one line below that, you had a beginning reserve of $2.8 million, and that gave you an ending reserve of $4.3 million for the general fund. And if you compare your ending reserve for the general fund of $4.3 million with your expenditures last year of $7.7 million, and that can be found in that first column up about 5 or 6 lines. You have over 50% reserve in your general fund, which that means you have nothing, you had no money's coming in. You could operate for about 6 or 7 or almost 8 months in the general fund. And that second column is your road and bridge funds. These are all your road and bridge funds combined. Again, if you look in that 3 lines up from the bottom in that second column, last year you had a net increase reserve of $2,089,000. You started the year out with $4.7 million. $4.7 million, and those two combined gave you an ending reserve of $6.8 million in your road and bridge fund. That's all your road and bridge funds. And if you compare that to your total expenditures last year, $4.2 million, you go up about 5 or 6 lines in that second column, you see that. You have about a year and a half reserve in your road and bridge funds. If you combine your general fund and your road and bridge funds together, you have a reserve of about $11 million, a little bit over $11 million of reserves in both of those funds combined. If you combine your expenditures last year in both your general fund and your road and bridge funds, you have about $11 million of expenditures last year. So you have probably just a little bit under 100%. If you shut down, or if you didn't bring in any income, you'd have about 95%. You could operate about 95% of the year without bringing in any money at all. You have excellent reserves in this county, excellent reserves. So if you flip over to page 19 and 20 of the report, this is your general fund. And one of the reasons you have, you hardly see this anywhere in county government. One of the reasons you have such good reserves really is if you look on page 20, in that first column, there's 4 columns on either page, by the way. And on the top of page 19 are your revenues, And then starting in the middle of page 19, going to page 20 are your expenditures. You can see your expenditures are broken down by department. And the first column is your budget, another page that you adopted. Second column is your final amended budget. The third column on either page are your actual income expenses. That last column is your budget variance column. And simply put, in that budget variance column, if the number has brackets around it, that's unfavorable variance. If it doesn't have brackets around it, that means it's a favorable variance. So if you look on page 20, in that first of all, you look at page 20 in that first and second column, 3 lines up. Your original adopted budget, you budgeted a surplus of $1.3 million, and then your final amended budget was $1.28 million, so almost the same. You rarely ever see that in a county government, rarely. Actually, you brought in $1.5 million, so you actually exceeded your budget expectations by $263,000. And one of the big reasons for that is if you go up in that fourth column, if you go up about 6 lines on your total expenditures came in under budget by, I forgot my glasses today, it's $500,000, I guess that number is. So not only do you budget a surplus here, or I should more correctly put, not only do you not budget a deficit, but your expenditures also always came out under your budgeted amount, which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The other thing, if you go to page 25 in your report, in those first 2 columns is your, I just want to point this out, is your ambulance fund. In that first column is the ambulance for last year. These are your income and expenses. I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong page, sorry. It would be page 23 and 24. On page 24, I'm sorry, page 24, sorry. On page 24, in that first column is your ambulance fund for last year. The second column is your ambulance fund for the prior year, and this is your income and expenses. So you can see that if you go up, it says operating income loss, about the middle of the page, in that first column, you had an operating loss of $619,000 in that ambulance fund. You actually, if you go down a little further, you had a transfer in of $200,000. So the actual overall loss for the year is $413,000. If you go over to that second column, last year you had an overall loss of $17,000. So it increased significantly last year, actually. Okay, and then moving on quickly, on page 46 of the report, in the notes, this is the required schedule. This is another unique characteristic of county government that we have, is this is the debt, all the debt of the county. And if you look at the very top on your bonds, you only have, there's 6 columns on either page. If you go to that fourth column, that's your ending, at the very top, that's your ending bond amount. You had $700,000 in bonds outstanding at the end of the year. So you have good reserves and not much debt at all as far as bonds and capital leases. I wanted to show the commissioners, if you go to pages 90 and 91 rather, these are your road and bridge precincts here. You kind of look at each one of your precincts and see how you're doing. It'd be on page 90 actually. It would be the operating accounts. And also on page 91, first 4 columns. You kind of see how your operations went last year. You look at your precinct. Each precinct has a good reserve. And again, it goes back to just good, careful budgeting. And that's about it with respect to the report itself. There was one comment, management letter. There's a 1-page insert in the beginning of the report. It's the minutes. As years go by, we basically audit the minutes. So it's a procedure that came in about 2 or 3 years ago. We gleaned from the minutes things that have happened during Commissioners Court, and we take those items that we consider to be significant, and we follow them up. And basically what we're asking there is just more detail be given so that we're able to follow these items up. We're not asking for a book, but things like you buy a motor grader, who'd you buy it from, what'd you pay, did you finance it, if you finance it, what are the terms, things like that we're asking for. So that's about it. Auditing this county is a pure pleasure. You have extremely good people here. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions, Mr. Bard?
And these numbers are as of September the 30th, 2019.
Yes, sir.
I think just as a general statement, I'm very, very familiar with our auditor's protocol, and we do almost list every jot and tittle of the penny, the dollar, and where it's from. And I think that's commendable. Are those the records that you're asking for more of?
The minutes.
In the minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
We just take the minutes, we just read the minutes, and we go from there.
Okay. All right.
In the minutes.
I'd say your tax office is the best tax office I've ever owned. I've spoken at the state.
The auditor's office?
Oh, yes. The accounts or you've always done.
Liz, do you have anything?
Well, I was just gonna ask on the minutes where the attachments, is that, can you look at those too, and we include them?
Yes, please do.
I mean, we do include them with our minutes.
But maybe when we get those are not attached, I'm not sure.
Okay, we get most of, we get documentation from the board that are included in minutes, and maybe when we pull it for you.
Yeah, it'd be real nice if you just kind of little circle summary in the minutes would be real nice.
Because I know in the minutes we do the actions of the court, but we do include any documentation that they can give us. And maybe when we did the CD, maybe that didn't get, I'll have to check into that for you.
Again, we have a judge too, and I'm willing to make changes too. If we need to make changes here, it would be helpful to you.
I know if you have attachments, just some kind of short summary in the minutes themselves.
Because I know in the minutes, we don't do summaries in the minutes because we're instructed to do the actions of the court, not to go into deliberation of its discussion.
Okay.
But we do include any attachments, because like you're saying, if there's any purchase where you're saying that it has the amount of who they bought it from, if that's included with that, we will attach it in the minutes, and we do make a note on the minutes that the attachment is included. And if there isn't anything done, we do make that too, there's no. Okay, well, we'll see what we can do.
I would be happy to assist with audio.
Sure, that sounds great. I appreciate that, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Bard? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the Lavaca County financial report for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2019 by Wayne Byer and Company.
I will second that motion, sir.
Okay. Motion to approve the presentation of the Lavaca County financial report for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2019 by Wayne Byer and Company. Motion was made by precinct 4, seconded by precinct 3. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, next, I think this is table. Okay. Agenda item number 4, the presentation of mid-year review of health insurance and new programs available to covered employees, dependents of Lavaca County from Texas Association of Counties, which is, anyway, they are not here today due to COVID-19.
They're unable to travel.
Unable to travel. They canceled on us, but we will bring them back at a later date and time.
Your Honor, I make a motion to table item number 4.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Motion was made by precinct 2, seconded by precinct 1 to table agenda item number 4. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next, we have item number 5, approve the proclamation declaring the week of April 12th through the through April 18th, 2020 is National Telecommunicators Week in Lavaca County. And that proclamation reads, whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt resource of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Lavaca County Communications Center, and whereas public safety dispatchers are the first and most critical contact to our citizens and have with emergency services, and whereas public safety dispatchers are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activity by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety, and whereas public safety dispatchers of the Lavaca County Sheriff's Office have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients, and whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Therefore, be resolved that the Commissioners Court of Lavaca County declares the week of April 12th through April 18th, 2020 to be National Telecommunicators Week in Lavaca County in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our county and citizens safe. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the proclamation declaring the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2020 as National Telecommunicators Week in Lavaca County. Second.
We have a motion made by Precinct 2, second by Precinct 1 to approve the proclamation declaring the week of April 12th through April 18th, 2020 as National Telecommunicators Week in Lavaca County. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you to the dispatchers for doing what they do.
Sure.
I know they had some communication issues this weekend. Our phone system crashed. So did the internet system. And it was some kind of defect in our backup battery system in the courthouse, and Gary came up here this week, over the weekend, to help get it back up and running. So thank them for what they do. I know it's thankless and much needed, much appreciated. All right, agenda item number 6, approve the proclamation declaring May 15, 2020 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 10th to May 17, 2020 as Police Week in Lavaca County. That proclamation reads, whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week, and whereas the members of the law enforcement agency of Lavaca County play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of Lavaca County, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the law enforcement agency of Lavaca County unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now therefore, we the members of the Lavaca County Commissioners Court call upon all citizens of Lavaca County and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 10th to May 16th, 2020 as Police Week, appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to the responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. We further call upon all citizens of Lavaca County to observe Friday, May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to proclamation declaring May 15th, 2020 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 10th through May 17th, 2020 as Police Week in Lavaca County.
I will second that motion, sir.
All right, we have a motion made by Precinct 4, seconded by Precinct 3 to approve the proclamation of declaring May 15, 2020 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 10th through May 17, 2020 as Police Week in Lavaca. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And just another note, Mr. Egan Bartels has done us a little treat on the courthouse by putting some LED lights that he had in storage to light up the tower in blue. If you haven't seen it at night, drive by to see it. It is something beautiful to see. The clock towers shine in blue. So thank you, Aggie, for thanking of the officers and the first responders, and for doing that for us. It just gives a little something to look forward to.
Glad I didn't get in trouble.
He asked after that. I said, well, I'd have to go through Commissioner's Court. He said, Judge, I already did it. And I'm already in Shiner. I'll drive to town and look at it. It looks pretty, and it's a nice gesture during these times. Okay, we are on item number 7. Discussion of budget fiscal year 2021 process. We'll try to make this kind of an ongoing agenda item. We're going to, the auditor's office is going to have your packets ready to be picked up by May 1st, and those packets and your budget requests will be due on June 1st. So it gives you 1 month for department heads and elected officials to get their budget requests back into the judge's office. And then at that point, we will set up hearings for the month of June. We don't have those dates yet. And we will have public hearings where the 5 commissioners will be present to hear your budget requests and to approve or not approve accordingly. And I think the hearing would probably go, we were just going to hear it, and then we'd go back to deliberate on the budget. But that, again, May 1st is the letters will be available to be picked up. That's, I think, Friday. I believe it's Friday.
Next Friday.
This coming Friday.
This Friday.
This coming Friday, you can pick it up in the auditor's office, or she can probably email them to you. And then they'll be due 1 month later, June 1st, into the judge's office. And then we will set hearings from that point forward.
Point of clarification, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
So I did put this on my list to talk about.
You did.
And one question I have for the court, and that is, I'm hoping and assuming that we'll go live with this, and I'm wondering if the court is going to address that if people can attend those public hearings online, and will the court be able to two-way interact with the public? If that's on y'all's, and we're having IT challenges,
right,
but I'm wondering if you guys have thought about that, and if so, is that something you're thinking about entertaining?
I have not thought anything on live streaming of those meetings, but hopefully by the time we get to June, it will be more of a public setting in here.
Yes, sir.
I plan to do something different. I would like to see us do something different, less of a roundtable discussion, so you can spread out amongst the table.
Okay.
And not have so much of a court appearance with our backs against the wall, so to speak.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Okay,
But definitely those would be public hearings.
thank you,
So
appreciate it.
we'll have more on that later.
Thank you.
Okay, number 8, we don't need a vote on number 7. I believe. Line number 8, per guidelines of USERA, that's the Uniform Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, we are removing employee number 1012 as an active employee of Lavaca County.
Yes, Your Honor, I make a motion to, as per guidelines of USERA, removal of employee 1012 as an active employee of Lavaca County.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion made by precinct 2, seconded by precinct 1, per guidelines of USERA. The removal of employee number 1012 as an active employee of Lavaca County. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 9, discuss and or take action on the County Transportation Infrastructure Funds. It's a CTIP grant program for transportation infrastructure projects. Do I have any discussion of the court?
I imagine we need to go forward and,
There's a short window of opportunity to get this thing done.
we need to go forward and go for this. If there's some grants, if any money that we can get from the, state and feds, we need to do that, put it into our roads.
And I have not read through the CTIP program. I understand it affects you commissioners in your budgets. And does anyone want to, on behalf of the commissioner, speak on behalf of what the grant is and how much is allotted? Have y'all had time? And here's something else. If you guys have not had time to read through it, I think there's a May, what was the deadline?
May
30th.
May 27th.
May 27th. So it's got a deadline on May 27th. This came to us late, and it has to be applied for quickly.
And it's a little bit over $1 million, $1,154,000. $1,154,000.
And that's available to Lavaca County?
That's available to Lavaca County. And it says Transportation Improvement Program. Let's see, a goal of the rural tip is to reflect input based on the community's transportation needs.
Is this something we want to probably call for a special meeting where we can?
Well, I think we need to go forward so that we can know what we're going to be doing and trying to figure out the roads that we need to turn in.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind we go forward with it.
Oh, definitely. We need to. And I'll make a motion that we go forward with the program, the Texas Department of Transportation, and we divide the funds up 25% for each precinct.
So a motion was made by Precinct 4 to take action by going forward with the County Transportation Infrastructure Funds Grant Program for Transportation Infrastructure Projects. And he's proposed to divide it up 25% per precinct.
Is this sort of like that CTERS grant, same thing?
Yes, sir.
Is it intended to repair roads destroyed by oil field
Well,
work?
basically what I just read, the goal for the rural tips is to reflect input based on community transportation needs. That's the whole county.
I'm guessing he died of a lack of a second.
I'm just, again, I'm new to this program as far as understanding how the funds are allocated to us. And I'd like to know more about that as far as how did we get in other words, the state said how much they're giving us, how much?
A little over $1 million.
A little over $1 million. How do they arrive at those numbers?
Your Honor, back in 2014, we had what was a CTERS grant fund available. It was similar to this. However, we had to create a transportation reinvestment zone, and we had to have special hearings and whatnot for this. It was something that all the counties that had a whole lot of areas affected by the increase of oil and gas production really needed and was really after. I've spent lots of time back with the CTERS grant, going to meetings and asking legislators to please help us along with this in any kind of way you could. Once that was done, it was handed over to Texas Department of Transportation, and they were able to dole it out to the counties. However, they did make it a little bit on the sophisticated side of getting things done, but we managed to do that and did a good job. And here it is sometime down the road, and I think everybody knows, the last couple of years, the oil and gas business has really just been very good up until, here a month ago. So we were asking, that the legislators go back and do something to that same effect again and try to help us counties out who have once again been, just tore wide open by this oil and gas industry. So luckily the representatives, Jeannie Morrison, Brooks Handgraf, Pancho Navarez, and Tom Craddock got together, did a House Bill 4280. And in that House bill, it allows county to obtain grants for transportation projects in areas of the state affected by an increase in oil and gas production. The procedures are provided here. So as outlined by House Bill 4280 and TxDOT rules, The grant funding will be distributed to each county according to the following formula: 10% by weight tolerance permits, 20% by oil and gas production taxes, 45% by horizontal well completions, 15% by vertical well completions, and 10% by the volume of gas and waste injected, like your wastewater and stuff like that that comes from the wells. Okay, so the methodology and the data used to develop the allocations under the formula were determined by the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles, the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts, and the Railroad Commission of Texas. What they're asking that we do is try to figure out with this $1,154,705 that's being allotted to Lavaca County, how we can divvy that up between the precincts so that we know what kind of projects are needed in order to go through with this grant. I have here search results that show since 2015. Also want to thank Audrey with the clerk's office and the clerk's office for graciously giving us this information. We appreciate that. But anyways, I have here the amount of agreements that we had, road use agreements, were a total of 359. Of those 359, 31 were in Precinct 1, 166 in Precinct 2, 139 in Precinct 3, and 23 in Precinct 4. This is for anybody to read right there. Here again, I think when the state is saying they're offering this money to us as something that could help us because we have been affected by the increase in oil and gas activity, I feel like it really needs to go where those areas were hit the hardest. And I don't feel like 25% across the board would be fair to all those areas that have really been torn open.
Well, Commissioner Burkenoff, I do know that, yes, y'all been getting all the traffic. We still have water trucks and everything messing with our roads. But in turn, I know that also that y'all received lots of dollars for repairs on y'all's roads already. And I just feel like that we need to divide that money a little bit more lucrative, and it's just to put it in one spot because it's as if for the whole county, and these dollars do come from the state. It's not the taxpayers from the county, which in turn definitely everything comes from everybody. But
so we received what now,
sir?
What did you say we received?
I know y'all do get a lot of help already from the big production companies.
From the oil companies?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's because we go in and we work and try to be neighbors with them. If you have 23 wells in your precinct, you have that opportunity to do the same.
And again, too, that does take care of the roads that were damaged already. So you're getting a lot of your roads taken care of already before this grant is coming across. And we still do in other parts of the precinct still have oil field traffic coming through the water trucks and so.
What we're asking the oil companies to help us with, what we ask and what we get are two different numbers.
Yeah.
I can ask for a whole lot and they're going to laugh at me and walk off. But they may be gracious enough to help us out and maybe give us enough to where, you know, it just kind of keeps everything rolling along and going. It's not enough there to help with total reclamation of a road or anything of that sort. And I think Mr. Bates can probably speak to that as well.
I agree with Commissioner Birkenhoff. My experience with the oil and gas company is they do not necessarily budget for damaged roads. It's up to the commissioner in a particular precinct. It's up to us four to go to them, knock on the door and say, you're using our road. You have a permit that you paid X amount of dollars for. And that X amount of dollars, a few $100s or even $1,000 would not possibly get near fixing the edges of roads, the destruction of the dirt roads, the gravel roads, and everything like that. I've been very fortunate to work with Penn, Virginia and several other ones, and they have assisted us by hiring a contractor, them paying for the contractor and helping out. But I have never seen anything come into our area, Precinct 3, of where they said, you've been so good, we're going to give you $1 to go to your roads. I've never seen that as far as money come to us.
Well, I do understand the situation of the damaged roads. I mean, I've been there. We've had our roads tore up before y'all did, and we were unfortunate. The state didn't give us any money. And yes, I work with oil companies, and I did get a few dollars and stuff. But this is we still have the water trucks coming down our roads, and I think this is a good time to get a little bit from the state for the past that has been done by the oil companies. Why does it all have to happen right now? This has been done by the oil companies in the past, so I think a little of that needs to be passed down for us this time. First time go around, that was a bad situation. And we need to make this funding a little bit more to percentage-wise the precincts versus what happened last time.
The most recent thing I'm familiar with, and correct me if I'm wrong, was the disbursement of material that the highway department either had access to or had access to.
We are talking about the same program years ago that we had 4 years ago.
Let me finish my point. The point was that it was based on the percentage of roads. And now there was a certain percentage, and I knew that Precinct 3 got some, Precinct 1, 2, and 4 got something, and we all weren't exactly alike. It was based on the roads. So that percentage, would that not also apply to the percentage of the wells and of the 10%, the 20%, and different things like that?
So just a blanket percentages of mileage.
Pardon me?
The mileage of each percent.
Okay.
If you look at Commissioner Birkenhoff's paperwork, or what he had y'all do, 166 road agreements for Precinct 2, 139 for Precinct 3. Precinct 1 had 31, and Precinct 4, 23. The vast majority of traffic was in Precinct 2 and in Precinct 3. And I understand your concern, Precinct 4, but according to their wishes, I think, from TxDOT, it was where all the oil and gas production was, and it's in that part of the county. But a solution, 25% would be about $250,000 apiece. If we broke it down any other way, what's a good percentage? if you look at it by the road agreements, precinct 1, that's about 10%. And precinct 2 would be less than 10%. And I don't think less than 10% is fair.
You mean precinct 4?
Precinct,
You said precinct 2 is
oh,
less than 10%.
4, excuse me. But, any suggestion,
And again, too, you know, the letter from the state says also, it's not all about the oil and gas. It says Transportation Improvement Program. The goal of this rule tips is to reflect input on the base community of transportation needs in the county. Try it.
So that's down to precinct 4. Again, precinct 4 made a motion to divide it by 25% to each. If there's not a second, do we have another proposal of percentages, or do we, and I'm going to ask the court for the sake of time, it's already 11:55. Do we want to table this for 3 days, 4 days, so y'all can come back with your proposals to the table? Or is there some resolution we can make quickly?
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to divide the material, or the monies, 31% to precinct 2, 30% to precinct 3, 20% to precinct 1, and 19% to precinct 4.
second.
I'm making sure that adds up to. I have an uneven number.
Do you?
That's 103%?
No?
No.
No, I've got 20, 31, 30, 19.
You got
20, 31, 33, and 19?
No, 30, 30.
30.
Yes, sir.
20%, 30%, 33, and 19?
No, sir. 20 for 1,
20 for 1,
31 for 2,
31 for
30 for 3,
30,
30, 30.
30. Okay, that was it.
And 19
Okay.
for 4.
Any discussion? A motion was made by precinct 2 to divide up the CTIP grant if awarded. 20% for precinct 1, 31% for precinct 2, 30% for precinct 3, and 19% for precinct 4. A motion made by precinct 2. Do we have a second?
second.
Second by precinct 1. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Same sign, nay.
Nay. All right. Let's have a show of hands for ayes. 3. 3 votes approve. That'd be 1, 2, and precinct 3. All opposed. That'd be judge and precinct 4 opposed. So it passes by 3 to 2 votes. Split it up. 20, 31, 30, 19 respectively. Okay. Number 10. Approve attached Exhibit A as surplus property for tax assessor collector's office. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve Exhibit A as surplus property for tax assessor collector's office.
Motion was made by precinct 4. Do you have a second?
I do second that, sir.
Second by precinct 3 to approve the attached Exhibit A as surplus property for the tax assessor's collector's office. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 11, approve the first addendum to the non-exclusive license and service agreement between Local Government Solutions LP in Lavaca County to include other county offices. That's in our office. We are adding Paula Patterson to that account to access the LGS system in the clerk's office. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve and accept the First Amendment of non-exclusive license services agreement. My paper is torn, I'm sorry.
Motion.
Whatever that, NELSA,
Yes.
between the Local Government Solutions LP and Lavaca County to include other officers, and I believe.
Second, other officers. All right, I got a motion made by precinct 3, seconded by precinct 4 to approve the first addendum to the non-exclusive license and Services Agreement between Local Government Solutions LP and Lavaca County to include other county offices. In favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 12, acknowledge the extension of the Lavaca Resources LLC oil, gas, and mineral lease dated April 27th, 2020 between Lavaca County and the Lavaca Resources LLC. Do I hear a motion?
I move we acknowledge the extension of the Delago Resources LLC oil and gas mineral lease dated April 27, 2020 between Lavaca County and Delago Resources LLC. That's my motion, sir.
Second.
All right, motion is made by precinct 3, seconded by precinct 4 to acknowledge the extension of the Delago Resources LLC oil and gas mineral lease dated April 27, 2020 between Lavaca County and Delago Resources. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, number 13, approve the hiring of Jason Meagle, heavy equipment operator, precinct 3, grade 5, and we have a slight change at the minimum quartile, effective April 27, 2020.
Was that a form of a motion?
Well,
I will make that motion. I would like to approve the hiring of Jason Meagle, heavy equipment operator, precinct 3, grade 5 minimum, which the quartile was a typo, effective April 27, 2020. And I make that in the form of a motion.
all right, precinct 3 made a motion. We have a second?
Second.
Second by precinct 2. Motion was made by precinct 3, seconded by precinct 2 to approve the hiring of Jason Meagle, heavy equipment operator for precinct number 3 at grade 5 minimum quartile, effective April 27, 2020. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next item number 14, discuss and or take action of the restructuring of the administrative assistant positions in the judge and commissioner's office. What we have done in the judge's office and the commissioner's office over the last, 2 months since I've been here, making some changes to how we operate. We have revised our job descriptions included in your packet. And basically those two positions, whether they're sitting in the judge's office or the commissioner's office, will be cross-trained, highly cross-trained between the two to cover whatever we need from the commissioner's or the judge's office. But there will be two separate job descriptions. They'll just, at the bottom of it, they're to cross-train those at all times. So if somebody's absent, the other one step in and fill in for those services. And those are fluid documents, meaning right now we've cleaned up 2 documents, and then at some point there could be some items crossed between the 2. But that is an ongoing issue, and we'll continue to work with this group here. And I bring this to the table just for the record because I talk to these commissioners one-on-one as they come in sometimes, and they've heard bits and pieces of what I'm doing and what we're doing. But this is the only time I get all 5 of us here. So it's the only time I can preach to the choir and talk to the choir, so to speak. But anyway, we are restructuring the office of the judge, and I would say we've already done things and transferred some duties out of the judge's office, such as workman's comp is now handled in the auditor's office with Denise in particular. There will be some more changes coming along the way. I will bring up to the court, such as we want to officially designate the auditor's office as our HR office, and that will alleviate some burden on the court of having to go through personnel issues in the courtroom. And that's our employment manual right now is being reviewed by TAC in Austin, and we'll get some direction from them, and I'll bring that back to you guys for a vote. But right now, we just have those 2 positions that we're working with. There's no supervisory duties of those 2 positions, and we've kind of alleviated that. So 2 admins, one will be in the judge's office, one will be in the commissioner's office, back like it was, but there's no supervisory duties, and it'll be totally cross-trained between the 2. We've done things such as access to the phone system. Not just one person has access to the phone system. We making sure that someone in the auditor's office has access to the phone system. We've done things with our website, making sure that it just wasn't one person controlling the website. We've got multiple people controlling the website or having access to make changes. So we're kind of doing an overall management review of the judge and commissioner's office from my perspective. At least that's what you guys hired me for. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking an administrative approach to it by making some restructuring. So this will, in other words, we no longer have an executive administrative assistant. We're going to have this administrative assistant to the judge's office or the commissioner's office, either one. And if you guys come into this courthouse and one's not available, the other one is. It's one supervisor, so to speak, but collectively all five of us are engaged with those offices.
Sounds good.
So I like it.
Thank you.
All right, there's nothing really to vote on at this point with that one.
Do we need to do the new jobs descriptions for that?
We possibly, I would just take action.
Okay.
Let's take action on the two job descriptions as proposed. It can be amended a little bit.
Is it on the agenda to?
We can get you a copy. Okay. Do I hear a motion to take action on the restructuring of those two positions?
Okay, my question is, before we do that, can we take action on it? Because is this in line with what we got on the agenda?
Well, just to be on the safe side, why don't we just put that on the agenda to take action on the job descriptions at the next meeting?
Okay, we can do that.
Just to be on the safe side.
We could do that.
No one can question.
For clarity.
For clarity, because this one does just say the restructuring of the administrative assistant positions. So
Okay.
put the job descriptions on the next agenda.
I think it's fair.
It's just a matter of making it effective.
Understand. Okay, we can do that. All right, so we will move on to item number 15. Discuss and or take action of the hiring process for the full-time administrative assistant position for the judge and commissioner's office. Again, so we have one admin position open at this time. I realize the nature of who I am and how I got here to this office by a 3-2 vote. That there is a ratification process that I would have to go through, but basically I want to make sure that this next hire is a joint hire amongst the first four staff. So I'm going to propose that we're going to put the audit, Shayna, Karen Bluta, the treasurer, on that committee to hire. I'm going to ask Ronald Birkenhoff to serve on that committee, and I will serve on that committee. So we're going to put 4 on that committee to hire the next administrative assistant. Then if there's some split vote or we can't make a decision, we would bring that to a executive court session to the court to overhear interviews if we can't come to some resolution. Or I'm willing to just bring it anyway to your attention because it does affect our office. So
Good.
that's my suggestion to the court. So I don't think we have to necessarily vote on the process, but again, this is for everyone listening. This is the only time I get all 4 of these guys in the same room together. So I'm legally proposing to them to do that. So again, we're going to hire hiring committee on this would be Shayna Opiella, Karen Bluta, Ronald Birkenhoff, and Keith Mudd. And then if we have some kind of split decision, we would come back to the court.
Good.
I think it's very fair.
Eric, do I have a motion on that? You need a motion?
I don't think we need it.
Just discuss. Okay.
I do appreciate, Judge, your open discussion for the public, for us, where we can legally and openly discuss it, and all the staff out here and all of our elected officials. I think it's just good for all of us. But I hate to use the word transparency because it's used every day. And thank you for that. I just want to commend you as our new judge.
We're trying to do the right thing, and like I said, we want this position works with everyone on the first floor primarily. I mean, we want to make sure it's done right, and we want the best person for the job. And if we don't have the right applicant, we have maybe 15 applicants or so, roughly. If we don't have the right applicants, we'll go and search again.
Great.
And we want to make sure that we hire the right person. Okay, with that, we will move to our consent agenda.
Make a motion, to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion, sir.
Motion by precinct 4. I think Marie Day had listed she wanted
You
to.
know I do.
We know she did.
I don't have a copy of your packet, and so I would like to ask the court, what are the items on that? Shayna, and I know it doesn't affect the budget, it's a net zero change. Can you guys tell me what's on that from your packet? What are the items?
Do you want to discuss it or do you want me to?
We'll let you discuss. I looked at it. This was routine in nature to me.
Right.
That's all. So,
It's 2 budget amendments, both are road and bridge. The first one is road and bridge precinct 1. He is moving $2,600 from his communications line item, from his miscellaneous line item to his communications line item. And then the second one is Road and Bridge Precinct 3. He is moving $1,000 from his bridge capital to his road signs. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. All right, we had a motion for precinct 4, seconded by precinct 3 to approve the consent agenda as provided. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, if we have any paperwork to be signed this time? And I'm going to ask if you turn our mics off during this time. All right, is there any other business of the court at this time? If not, I will accept a motion to adjourn. Precinct 1 makes a motion, seconded by Precinct 2. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.